And welcome back to another episode of Framing New Heights. Thank you all for joining, and I am so excited about this podcast. And today, thank you for joining and listening. You could be anywhere, and this is the podcast where we really climb and stretch and grow and really build that mindset shift one step at a time. I'm your host, as Reggie Smooth as Butter said, Michael Hicks. I am the mindset coach, life coach, and transformational coach, and founder of Liv2Thrive. And before we get into today's topic, I really want to live out some of our sponsors. Can't sleep, got the aches and pains. You've got to check out this CBD oil. I'm telling you all, it is a game changer. You will fully sleep. It gets rid of the aches and pains, and you are truly making a difference and thriving in all areas of your life. As we age, sleep is probably one of the most beneficial pieces of our life. It allows us to actually live with thriving, purposeful meaning. So if you need some better sleep, go to superfungummies.com, and it is only for the CBD oil. There might be other things on there as well, but superfungummies.com, and you go to the link, check out the CBD oil. It is Amish tested, proven formula, and you're going to sleep better. And that's what it's all about as we get to this beautiful, beautiful age. And the code, the special, is 50% off with Cap Locks New Heights, and that's all Cap Locks New Heights. And as many of you know, my name is Michael Hicks. I am the founder of Liv2Thrive, where I help people create change in their life. Whether it's a detour that you need, maybe it's so you're lacking something. It's that empty pit. You're spinning your wheels. You're on this endless merry-go-round. I've been doing this now for over 25 years, and I have created so much change for people in their lives, in their relationships, in their careers, in their mindset, and truly just becoming the best version of themselves. So if you need some direction on that, let's just start by filling out a questionnaire if you want more information on that. You can go and email me at michael@liv2thrive.com. And if you are truly want to be a guest on my podcast, you can go to framingnewheights@gmail.com. This episode today is very, very special to me. In fact, it has been a tradition. And coming up to this tradition is the third annual Gratitude Month episode. Now, this is probably going to drop at the end of October, but I figured if I drop it earlier this year, everybody will get a better opportunity to listen to the month of November, because November is one of the best time of the year for gratitude. It's Gratitude Month. And today's podcast is all going to be about gratitude. And the most powerful forces on this earth is be able to fill our cup with gratitude. And today's podcast title is The Power of Gratitude and Rising Higher in the Midst of the Storm. So maybe it's because for me, this is so monumental, is because this year has really stretched me in so many ways. And I didn't even see some of these things coming. As a father, as a coach, as a man of faith. And maybe it's because I've watched so many of my clients walk through these storms and come out even stronger. And simply because they chose gratitude when it made the least sense. Now, you don't have to hire a coach to do that. However, a lot of people don't understand the sequence and the planning phases behind it, and that's where I come into play. However, today, I really want to go deep. And I forgot my water as I jumped into the studio here, so bear with me here. But some of the things I want to talk about, we're going to talk about. I listed 7 ways to really celebrate gratitude. And then those 7 ways, it changes your life. And then I put together seven reasons why it matters most when life hits and feels the hardest. So if you are stumbling on this podcast, please make sure you share it with 5 of your friends. Give me a review. Preferably 5-star, but honestly, I love transparency, and if something we need to do better on, we're all about that. So today I'm going to share some research, and I'm going to share also some life stories and and some of my personal reflections from this past year and moments where I really had to dig deep and practice what I preach. And times I got sometimes negative. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that and be vulnerable on this episode today, because let's be honest, gratitude is hard in the midst of the storm, right? Gratitude is so hard, yet it's so transformational. So grab your coffee and take a walk with me right now, and sit down where you can maybe find a quiet place, a moment where we can really rise higher, and we can rise higher together in this moment and really be present. All right. Gratitude isn't a one-time practice. All right? It's not something that you can just practice and think I did it one time, I'm good. It's an actual rhythm. And it's a heartbeat that really steadies you when you feel like you are in the midst of chaos. So before you check your phone, I want you to give what I call start your day with the first 5. All right? The first 5. Before you open up your phone or you open up your laptop, take a moment to name 5 things you're thankful for. And they can be either big, they can either be small. However, just the first 5. And do those right away. Maybe it's when your daughter laughs or your child laughs. Maybe it's the simple roof that's over your head. Maybe it's the fact that you're able to put gas in your car tank. Maybe it's the fact that you have a house for your car. Or maybe it's the fact that you woke up today. Research shows from, I believe it was UC Davis. It found that people who kept a morning gratitude journal reported 25% more happiness. In today's world and life, let's just be honest, we need more happiness. And happiness, for me, fulfilling it, comes from daily rituals, daily rituals of building what I'm on a 365-day journey on my Bible app. I'm on 320, I think-ish. And that really paints the picture. That provides skills that I need and happiness that I need to get me through the day. And then the gratitude piece is monumental. And I want to jump in a little bit more on that. But we need more happiness in our life, right? It's just, please stop watching the news. Don't watch the news. Get rid of the news. So 25% reported more happiness. And here's the kicker. I know I talked about this earlier with my sponsorship with my CBD oil. 35% of people slept better. Insane, right? Gratitude literally rewires the brain for optimism. Oh, but Michael, I'm a pessimist. Yeah, but you've trained your brain to be a pessimist. And I want to give this to you. So for all my listeners out here, my subscribers, I want you to just pause this episode for a second. Pause this episode and write down your 5 right now. And write it down. Just write them down. And then notice how your body feels when you shift into gratitude mode. It's a beautiful thing. I'm thankful. I get to. Not I have to, I get to. Those moments are critical. And then, now, that was a good place to pause, and I hope you did do that. And now, I want you to voice it out loud. And this is where our thoughts create an awareness, a type, right? We then take our thoughts and then we associate them into words, and words affect who we become. So, for example, now I want you to voice it out loud. So, gratitude unspoken is gratitude lost. Tell someone you appreciate them. And I think thank you is just so mundane. Say I appreciate you. And say it to your partner. Say it to your team. Say I appreciate you to people that are in your circle of trust. Maybe it's your parents. Maybe it's your kids. I don't have a mom and dad. I lost my mom and dad. I was relatively early. It was in my 30s when I did. But say I appreciate you. Because words are energy. And spoken gratitude transforms the atmosphere of a home. Ooh, I'm going to preach on this one. Of a home, of a marriage, and even and particularly a workplace. And in my Live to Thrive coaching framework, I remind my clients is what you verbalize. Are you ready for this? Write this down. This might be a good place to write this down. Is what you verbalize, you visualize. And gratitude isn't just acknowledgement. It's something that I have teach and taught my clients that it's alignment. Now, when we, and the third piece here, celebrate the mundane. Every day, like my daughter often says, "Oh, Dad, I'm having a friend over and I don't know what to do and I don't want it to be boring or I'm bored." Celebrate the mundane. Be bored. Because you're often going to miss those blessings because they seem like routines. I hate packing lunches. I hate the routines of, after school I got to pack my daughter's lunches and everything. I don't enjoy those routines. However, be grateful. Be full of gratitude. Have your heart full of gratitude for doing the boring things. The morning commute, right? The doing laundry, the first sip of your coffee or your energy drink, or maybe the working car that you have. I could think of when I coached basketball. And again, I started at the little leagues all the way up, and I worked my way up to high school. Then into college, I was assistant coach of the year in college. And then I worked up my ways up into the pro women's sports sector. I used to tell my players, if you can still run, if you can still shoot a ball, you're blessed. If you can still walk, you're blessed. In fact, I had a great guest on a while ago, and I'm reminded of him. And he was been in a wheelchair, and he still thinks he's blessed. Puts things in perspective. And I once had a player tear their ACL. And in fact, I shared this story with one of my best friends whose daughter is going to be a Division I basketball player. And as this player that I was coaching was sitting on the bench, it changed their whole perspective of how they saw the game. And one of the things they said was, Coach, I never realized what a gift it is of movement. And man, I can't share with you enough. That really resonated with me because I'm just going to be truly transparent, is if I don't have the gift to move, I'm going to struggle with life. And that's me personally. And we sometimes take those things for granted. And what that did is really it shaped me into thinking that gratitude opens your eyes to one thing you took for granted, right? What are the simple things you take for granted in your life? Because gratitude often changes that. It puts things in a different perspective, into a different light. That's huge. It's huge from so many aspects. And now, the fourth piece that I want to share with you on this is each night, before I go to bed, I always ask myself, where did I see or how did I walk in alignment of Jesus Christ today? One of the things is one of my high fives in the morning is I thank Jesus And then on top of that, I always say, Jesus, allow me to walk in your footsteps today. So then the reflection piece to the end of the day is, where do I see how Jesus moved in me today? Was I kind when I needed to? Was I helping and holding the door for someone? Did I say something nice to them? Was I the first one to say good morning? That question really changes everything, because we all are stressed with everyday life. We always want to have that quick response of a text, right? And even in the midst of stress, even in the midst of loss, we got to remember this one thing, I think. God leaves evidence of his faithfulness. So what was one moment today, even small, that reminded you that you're not alone on this journey and that he's walking? In fact, Jesus is praying for you. I got some reels that I'm putting together that I just put together for this week that are coming out. He's praying for you next door. The fifth one, the morning high fives, right? Express gratitude through service. Here's an important one for all of us here is gratitude shows. Let me say that again. Gratitude grows when you give it away, right? So volunteering, mentoring. As a coach, I give a lot of stuff away for free. Or call someone who's maybe struggling. Now, if they don't answer the phone, and I have a good friend of mine that has not and kind of ghosted me, and I haven't talked to them, and I just literally said, hey, are you okay? If I don't hear from you, I'm going to contact your wife. Like, I need to know you're okay. And gratitude grows when you give it away. You know, today on the sermon, and this reminded me of when I watch Pastor Craig from Life Church, and he's amazing. I have a church that I go to regularly, but if I'm going to watch it online, I'm going to suggest Life Church. Pastor Craig, he's amazing. But he said something. He's like, I'll get all these texts when my dad died and all these things, but all of a sudden one day I'm sitting there with my wife, we're on the couch, and I get a knocking on the door. And he looks at his wife like, are you expecting anybody? She's like, are you expecting anybody? They're like, no. So it's just weird, right? But the point was, his best friend came to visit, to share his sympathy, to be with him in the midst of those. Because studies show serving others releases dopamine. And that same hormone, guess what? It brings joy. Now, the ultimate joy, and I'm going to be fully transparent, the ultimate joy is praising God, giving glory to God. However, you know, when you have the ability to serve other people, it releases that dopamine and gives you more joy. So, want to feel more grateful? You want more gratitude? I'm going to be blunt here. Stop thinking about yourself. Stop it. It's all about me, right? All about minds and me and I's and O's, and I don't know about O's, but it's all about me. No, get rid of that. Start helping somebody else. Number 6, gratitude letter. Have you ever written one? I'm going to say this, and I'm going to do my very best. Instead of giving out Christmas cards this year, I am going to send out gratitude cards in the month of November. And I'm going to piggyback a little bit onto that, because one of my favorite tools that I give my clients is called the gratitude letter, is where you write a letter to someone who's really impacted your life. For me, at one point, it was my middle school teacher. He played football against Walter Payton. He was this jack dude. I didn't have a father growing up, and he was really present for me. Took me to my games, took me home, took me there. It was just awesome, right? And he just impacted my life. And it took me forever to find him, but I found him, and then I wrote a letter to him. And maybe even if you write that letter and maybe you send it and you never get a response back, or you never send it, still write it. Still write the letter, because when you can write that letter, people that who write gratitude letters and gratitude notes and cards and things of that nature reported significantly higher happiness levels for a full month afterward. You just feel better. Because as much as, do you remember the old school saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me? My mom used to say that to me all the time. I'm going to take it to the other perspective, because we're on this gratitude podcast today, this episode, I should say. Words heal. Even the ones that you write privately. That's immense and important. For me, gratitude shows up in my body. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier. This is number 7. Gratitude in motion. And I'm only speaking from my perspective here. And when I move my body, I give thanks. I literally, there's been so many moments when I'm in the gym. I generally am listening to the Bible in the gym for music, or I'm listening to K-Love. No promo there, just telling you. And I love to give thanks, like, Lord, bless this lift, like, bless these workouts, and maybe it's for you, it's bless this walk. And then I do breathing exercises after my workout inside the sauna. It's a 4-4-4 count, where I'm inhaling 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4. I do that 4 to 5 times. And what I say during those moments is, thank you. Thank you, God, for giving me the strength in this moment. And being there. And I thank God for so many of the things that He's done. And what it does is it really connects physical discipline with spiritual awareness. And that really right there is the whole key framework to my Live to Thrive formula, is because motion in itself creates emotion. And gratitude then turns that motion into meaning. And when you practice these 7 rhythms that I just gave you, right? You have the gratitude stops, because gratitude then will stop being a concept and become more of a lifestyle. And again, those 7 were, all right, I'll repeat those. So start each day with your first 5. What are your first 5? Number 2, voice it out loud. Number 3, celebrate the mundane. 4, end the day in reflection. 5, express gratitude through service. 6, the gratitude letter. 7, gratitude in motion. Now, I want to pivot here into my next piece, where I have 7 reasons why gratitude is so effective, right? And let's talk about that. Let's talk and dive in on why gratitude is so effective. And why and how, let's say how does gratitude work? How does gratitude work biologically? How does gratitude work emotionally? And how does gratitude work spiritually? Because gratitude activates the prefrontal cortex. This is huge. It's the joy. It's the decision-making center of the brain. Now, I'm going to get a little science on you. If you get an MRI done, and the scans can show that constant gratitude literally grows gray matter associated with happiness. It's insane. So think of it like this for a second. Gratitude trains your mind to look for good, right? And then the next thing is, what are you seeing that's affecting that? What are you hearing that's affecting that? The music we listen to affects gratitude. The stuff we watch affects gratitude. So if you're in the midst of chaos and you're training your mind, your eyes, and your ears to always hear negative, what do you think kind of life you're going to be living? Not one that of gratitude. So gratitude trains your mind to look for good, even in the midst of chaos. It also reduces stress hormones. Okay? UC Berkeley found that people who practice gratitude lowers cortisol levels. This is that stress hormone. And it can be done by up to 23%. Translation, you ready? Less worry, less anxiety, less depression, better sleep, fewer headaches. Gratitude doesn't remove stress. Let's be clear with that. However, it changes how you respond to it. I often hear people, I had such a bad day. Well, you allowed your bad day to happen. You control your bad day. I have bad moments, sure, because it's called life. We have problems in life. If you don't think you got problems in life, you haven't lived life. So think your mindset controls your gratitude. It controls the response, the body's response to stress. You know, we stress is I think one of the top 5 killers in the United States. And I know I'm streaming out on a lot of different continents, but so when you put that into perspective for a second, you control the narrative. You just don't have the tools. Why don't you find out by simply filling out my questionnaire at Liv2Thrive? Email me, Michael at Liv2Thrive. Michael, I need that questionnaire. Send me that questionnaire. It's a simple questionnaire. It's 15 minutes maybe. I see where your issues are. I see if I can help discover and help you discover a better plan. A 1-hour call. Michael at Liv2Thrive.com if you want that questionnaire. Number 3, strengthens relationships. Couples who express gratitude daily. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for I'll just be honest. I've been a long-term sports coach, and now I'm a transformational coach. But I also just coached 5th grade volleyball and middle school flag football. I'm not a good person when I was coaching. I'm just not. I to my significant other, not to my daughter, just to my significant other, and I often would express gratitude and say, "Thank you for dealing with me." And what I'm saying is with that, it just strengthens relationships. It's couples that report 25% higher satisfaction and stay longer together, and they have built a higher trust when they can express more gratitude. When was the last time you said, "I appreciate you," or "I thank you" to your partner, or "I see you," or "I value you"? That's true oxygen for connection, y'all. That's abundance. And when we have abundance, great things happen. It strengthens your relationship, right? 4, improves physical health. Ooh, boy, I like this one right here. People who keep gratitude habits exercise more. I'll say that again. Those people that are full of gratitude and they have habits of gratitude in their life, they exercise more. They eat better, and I'll be honest, I have not been eating better lately. I am in the bulking season, and I got to do a better job of that. However, they also, are you ready for this one? They recover faster from illnesses. And here's the kicker. The body listens to what the mind repeats over and over and over. Are you on that endless merry-go-round, that endless circle? You're spinning your wheels. And it keeps repeating and repeating and repeating. I've got some cool reels that I'll be dropping on my socials this next week, so pay attention to those. Gratitude reminds our nervous systems you're safe. I'll say that again. Gratitude, when we embrace gratitude and we practice gratitude, gratitude reminds our nervous systems that you're safe. Because your body listens to what the mind repeats. I want to talk about resiliency. This is my fifth one. It boosts resiliency. And then when you continually boost it, it builds anti-fragility. Gratitude is emotional armor. In the Bible, it talks about when people are unjust and people are evildoers and they're doing evil things and the devil's doing all these things, take on God's armor. Gratitude is another part of that. It's emotional armor. It doesn't deny pain. You know what it does do? Transforms it. You will not be bitter and grateful at the same time. Man, I could get really deep into that piece there, but that's for another topic. One emotion has to yield over the other. So you can either choose to be bitter or you can choose to be grateful. Which one are you going to choose today? Because the more grateful you are, the more resilient you'll be. 6, produces productivity. Productivity. Let me see how I can break this down. Gratitude shifts focus from what's broken to what's building. You follow where I'm going here? So if I'm working with clients, or if I'm working in business teams, or if I am on a keynote speech, leaders that, now please listen to this, leaders. Leaders that show appreciation increase performance by 50%. Their coworkers increase performance by 50%. When was the last time your leader showed you some appreciation? Because then you're going to go out of the way. At least by 50% is what statistics are saying. And then when you're in the midst of that season, whatever season you're going through, gratitude then takes, let me say this again, gratitude turns survival into a proven strategy. And that will increase productivity. Don't ever embrace the word perseverance. Embrace that word. Never quit. And then embrace that with gratitude, because gratitude turns survival into strategy. My 7th one, and this has been big for me, it deepens your faith. Gratitude is a form of worship. Giving praise, dancing for God, thanking Him every day, reaching up to the ceiling with all hands up, right? If you're catching this on the video, I got all hands up. It's how we say, God, I trust you even in the midst of low times. God, I trust you that you're here with me, walking with me. There's a Bible passage that keeps looping in my head, and it's 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 18. And I might butcher this here because I don't have it verbatim here. But it talks about how we should always give thanks in all types of seasons. Because that's the will that God has for us. And what's really, really important in your season is giving gratitude, because gratitude is another way to find that language is a way to build a bigger, more purposeful faith. Gratitude is the language of faith. Gratitude is worship. Don't forget that. Even in the midst of your storms, don't forget that. All right, I want to move into my last and final segment today. And remember, I told you I was going to break this down into 3 parts. And this next part is 7 reasons gratitude is most powerful in difficult seasons. Okay? Now, I'm going to go deep. All right? Now, these are my 7, and as a transformational coach. Because gratitude isn't often tested in comfort. And we often have so many coaches that want to coach in their comfort zone, yet have never done any battle-tested chaos, right? And I take what my pain was and I give it, and I took my pain, what is now, and I developed it into purpose so that you don't have to do that. And it brings me to the first point. It reframes pain as purpose. So in one of my hardest seasons, and I've had many of them. I've had many seasons. I've lost my mom at an early age, and I'll never forget that moment, and I'm going to talk about that. It felt like quicksand. You know what I mean? As I walk out of the room, or I'm in the room, and I walk into the room and I see 7 people working on her. And they're like, Michael, should we keep going? I was like, yes. 45 minutes later, Michael, should we keep going? And I knew right then and there that it was, my mom was no longer going to be there. It felt like quicksand. You know, gratitude, then I reflected on gratitude because gratitude became my anchor. And I stopped thanking God for what happened and started thanking Him for what He shaped me with my mom through her journey here on this planet. The fact that she raised me in a Lutheran setting. We went to church every weekend. And there was a moment in my time in my life where I fell out of faith. And it brought me through it. And that perspective changed a lot for me. And there's so many more that I can give you. A near-death experience. Pain into purpose. Wanting to give more through the grace of God and His light. Number 2. It interrupts negative loops. Reasons why gratitude is more powerful in difficult seasons. It interrupts negative loops. Here's what I mean. You know that anxiety feeling that you get, or that worry feeling that you get, or uncertainty? And when you're caught in that moment, gratitude can act like a circuit breaker. You just go down and you flip the switch. It forces then your brain to shift from what's missing to what's meaningful. Huge interruption shifter. Huge. Number 3. It builds spiritual muscle. Hold on, let me pull up my notes here. So, James 1:2, verse 4, it talks about, consider it pure joy when you face trials. Right? Because the testing, it goes on to say, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. And I talked earlier about perseverance. Be joyful that you are given a trial. Be joyful. And I know that's easier said than done when you haven't been there. I've been through a lot of those. And I can speak from a lot of those. And how can I say this? Gratitude in those moments is like a spiritual gym, right? Where resilience, or I should say, where resistance builds resilience. Spiritual muscle. It builds a spiritual muscle. Number 4. What else does gratitude do? It brings you back to the present, right? Anxiety lives in the future. Guilt lives in the past. Does that make sense? So anxiety lives in the future where guilt lives in the past. Gratitude lives right here, right now, in this moment. And it teaches us how to reframe, to regroup, to breathe again. It brings you back to the present. 5. It honors growth over perfection. I was recently having this conversation with my daughter about perfection, and what I'm learning from parent-teacher conferences is that she wants to be perfect, she may be upset with me even talking about this. However, we've had a conversation about it, and we're working on that. But I want to just say this. Gratitude says, I might not be where I want to be, yet thankful God. How can I say this? I'm thinking of a good way to say this. Stick with me here. Gratitude says, I may not be where I want to be. However, thankful God put me in a place I used to be. Does that make sense? I hope I said that correctly. So that's what gratitude's about. Gratitude says, I'm not where I want to be. However, I thank God I'm not where I used to be. That's the big key here. Because progress, okay, not perfection, that's where the joy comes in. That's where the fulfillment piece comes in. Number 6, it restores perspective. When life feels too heavy, gratitude helps you zoom out. You start to see the whole picture, not just the painful piece. In the storm, the season, it doesn't shrink. However, you grow stronger inside of that season. And the 7th one, it deepens empathy. Huge. Those who have suffered deeply and can still remain thankful. And if you want to learn more about my journey, I've got a lot of those. There's still more that I'm going to be writing in my book that's coming up. But we become healers. Allow me to help you to heal with my transformational Live to Thrive coaching. There's a Bible passage in Romans. I think it's around Romans 5. It says, we glory in our sufferings. We give glory to God in our sufferings because suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance builds character, and character transforms into hope. Gratitude transforms your scars into strength for someone else. And to be really honest, this year has been extremely tested for me in every part of my life. There are moments I felt drained, I felt exhausted, from balancing coaching to balancing fatherhood, coaching to teams, leadership. Life just threw curveballs. And however, every time I chose gratitude, guess what happened? Peace found me again. I learned that gratitude does not need specific conditions. It just needs a commitment. And not only that, when my clients would say things like, I finally lost 2 full sizes on my body. I finally lost 20 pounds. Or my marriage feels alive again. Or they even said something like, I feel like I set a boundary that I've avoided for years. I can smile again. I feel like a better person. I let go of toxic people, because that's their saying, is that they found gratitude in themselves. And that was through the coaching that the gift of God has given me to give to you. And that's where the shift changes everything, y'all. So, as I close today, as we head into November, I want to challenge you. Make gratitude your default setting, and don't just make it for the month. And it's not... Know that life is never going to be perfect. Life is going to be full of problems. If you think life is not going to give you problems, you're the problem. However, if you can make God in the entity and your foundational piece, God will be present for you. Gratitude, and remember with the gratitude piece, gratitude doesn't deny the storm. It builds a shelter for you to be in it. And those of you that are listening to this podcast, I want to just take a quick one-line prayer to you. God, thank you for what I have. Thank you for what's been taken. And thank you for what you're making me to be. And I chose to see your goodness every day, even in my gratitude moments and even in my darkest seasons. Remember, gratitude becomes your language growth, y'all, because it becomes your lifestyle. And this November, don't just count blessings, live in them. Live in the boredom. Until next time, my name is Michael Hicks. I am your host with the most. As always, 1% better in mind, body, and soul. And always stay flexed.